this is a bad time. This is just really, really bad timing to release this. At the end of the day, this is just really bad timing. And I think all in all, I don't even necessarily hate this being released, but right now, this is not good timing at all. Because what do you not want if you are if you're the players that want to play basketball? You don't want the unrivaled greater than WNBA shit to overtake anything else, which it has been right now. Like, by the way, Alex Basil coming out and saying the WNBA's current CBA offer doesn't pay players more than Unrivaled. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Like, I don't understand what he's saying. And like, I like the fact Unrivaled exists as a league. But I mean this in the most honest way possible. As long as the WNBA exists, Unrivaled is a huge positive. Unrivaled is a massive positive as long as the WNBA exists. Because what does it do? It offers 40, probably 50 players the opportunity to play for $100,000 plus in a league that and not have to go overseas. Because let's be real, like, people don't necessarily want to go overseas. People are like, oh, but like some of these countries are lovely, but it's like, how many teams in country, I'm not even gonna say countries that are 100% safe, not 100% safe, because a lot of the time basketball players are safe. Like, one of my first year playing quote unquote pro ball, I wasn't getting paid, but like being on a quote unquote pro team, one of our players had played in Egypt during the revolution and he was safe. So it's like you're pretty much in a situation where it's hard to get paid. Like, you're seeing people getting put in unsafe situations. Like, Brittany Griner had to go to Russia in 2022. Well, not had to, but she went to Russia in 2022. Players have been to Russia. Players were going to, I'm not going to say like some not particularly safe places. Like there are players caught up in this war at the minute. Like, it's a really tough thing, because if you are looking at the capital cities in Europe, your Barcelonas, there's not that much money in that. And also with prioritization rules, players that aren't young players can't play in Spain. So yeah, it's an interesting one here. But let's take a listen here. But basically, yeah, Unrivaled is great for that. But if the WNBA doesn't exist and Unrivaled is a factor in that, Unrivaled is a net negative to women's basketball. If Unrivaled as a supplement league is a positive, Unrivaled as the only league, because then suddenly Unrivaled doesn't have the it doesn't have the facilities to actually replace the WNBA anytime soon anyway.
Did the W ever have an opportunity to be involved with Unrivaled?
They did, yeah. We did offer equity before we launched, yeah.
Like, I mean this when I say this, the WNBA wouldn't, the WNBA, just like the NBA, just like the NBA are trying to set up NBA Europe, they wouldn't buy equity in EuroLeague. Like, I don't understand this as some gotcha. Oh, we offered the WNBA equity. Oh, we offered the WNBA 5%. They could have 5% in this league and have some ownership in this league. No, that's not how the NBA works. That's not how the NBA's business model works. And they kind of know that this is just, again, buzzwords. Like, they're buying NBA Europe. They're setting up their own league instead of putting money in EuroLeague. So that's kind of the way the NBA works, if we're being real. They want to, the NBA is a brand where it's NBA or WNBA, they want to monopolize basketball. And let's be real. By the time the contracts in the WNBA go to 1-2 million on average, there won't be an Unrivaled. And that's fine. If Unrivaled lasts 10 years doing what it is, and then eventually the players make enough money that they're stuck in, that they have playing the NBA, Unrivaled, or have playing WNBA, worst case scenario, Unrivaled, the investors can make their money back by cashing out and selling the thing to the WNBA. If Unrivaled successful enough, the WNBA might buy it and use it as a developmental league. Long term, that's kind of the best situation for everyone involved in Unrivaled, is that the WNBA pays enough that it's not needed to be this secondary league, and it becomes this developmental league, and the WNBA buys the whole thing.
And they turned it down.
They did.
What does Unrivaled do to set itself apart and set itself as a potential standard or a comparison for the W?
Everything we're fighting for is salary benefits, equity in the league.
but like equity in the league is the it's not. I mean this when I say this. Like, I've heard from people how small, and I'm not talking about Phee, how small the average player's equity in Unrivaled is. Like, it is, and unless and the likelihood of that equity being complete, like, never being realized is very high. Like, it is fractions of a fraction of a percent for a lot of them. And like equity, like I hate the way women's basketball players are using equity as a buzzword. Like it is, unless the goal, the equity is irrelevant unless the goal for Unrivaled is to basically overtake the WNBA. Because let's be real, the bigger the WNBA gets, the less likely Unrivaled is to be this huge league. And that's where everything is conflict of interest. Because if the original goal of Unrivaled was to give players something to play in the WNBA offseason, that they stayed at home and got paid more, it will succeed in that. However, it does feel like Phee especially is leading the we want Unrivaled to replace the WNBA crew, which is a tough one.
We have all these things without needing to be asked at Unrivaled. Like, we want for nothing here. And not only do we meet like the minimum standards that we're begging for in the WNBA, we exceed them. Players see here what professional life should look like. And so it's really hard when you've been given that to accept less.
I actually agree with that. I actually stand by that. But there is also the caveat of, like, it's one of these things where it's a lot easier to do when it's just in Miami. Like, everybody's talking about how Unrivaled has figured something out, like, you know, all the traveling shows. But I'm like, then when it comes to all the travel shows is, okay, what do our costs go up to? What do our costs go up to? Okay, we can't, and everyone, I think everybody, even neutrals, are in agreement that what is holding back Unrivaled is being stuck in Miami. Like, that is a big reason why Unrivaled will stagnate in growth, and stagnating growth is that, like, what going to Philadelphia and going to Brooklyn were huge for it. I think everyone's in agreement for that. That being said, it's a rough scenario all around, because we're talking about this, but at the end of the day, it's a we're talking about this being a positive. But if that ends up being the case of what Unrivaled is long term, what does that mean? It means operating costs of Unrivaled shoot through the roof. And can they afford to continue to give out these big salaries when the operating costs go from being relatively small, keeping them all housed in the same area, bringing them all to a small area in Miami, having one practice facility which they own, which is massive, so they don't have to rent out these arenas. Like, I don't know. They got 1 million gate revenue in Barclays, but like, did they profit in terms of transport, in terms of all the media stuff that they had to do, in terms of salaries for those individual games? Whereas again, the operating costs are very low in Miami, and the operating costs of running a full arena. Did they profit from going to Miami? The question is probably not. It's fine to make a loss on it for a long term, but I even saw from this, I need to see if I can find where else. I think Phee basically said double down on calling out Kathy. Like, I think she has doubled down on calling out Kathy. Like, Phee Collier, Kathy. Screw it. Kathy. I think she doubled down on it. When she won't meet with Kathy Engelbert after she denied a remark. Like, that has been possibly the most detrimental thing. And I don't think people realize that. Is that, like, Kathy is the commissioner, who's the middleman, who won't speak to the players anymore. She won't speak to the players. Have ruined their relationship with the middleman, and they're wondering why the owners are kind of doing what they're doing. Like, it is one of these things where it's like, we're now at a situation where there's about to be a lockout, and a big reason for there being a lockout is what like, this is what Phee said here.
Public pressure, I think, is very important when it comes to these things as well. And trying to get things done, like, behind closed doors wasn't working. And I think some things that I heard were wrong. And I felt I just felt like I needed to stand up and to say it. So I still back what I said. I'm glad we did it. And I think it allowed us to kind of kick off the CBA negotiations again as well. I think it helped give us a little bit of leverage, a little bit of momentum.
Were you surprised by the reaction around it?
I was actually. Like, of course, I knew basketball people would hear it, but it definitely reached farther than I thought it would, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's like people received it positively, but even if they hadn't, I feel really strongly like that what I said was the right thing. And
Like, I actually, first of all, I don't think that what she said about Kathy was necessarily wrong. I just think she torpedoed the relationship between a league and a commissioner. And it doesn't look good when she is the head of Unrivaled. Like, the optics aren't good. I'm not even saying anything Phee did is wrong. I'm saying the optics don't look good. And now this interview coming out, and my hope is that The Athletic are doing this for clicks. That is my hope, that The Athletic are just doing this trying to fuck with the players. Because at the end of the day, like, we're just trying to get this out of clickbait. Because at the end of the day, with the WNBA, Unrivaled is not only needed, is an ideal supplement. It is absolutely an ideal supplement. Without the WNBA, Unrivaled's fucked. Like, I don't think people understand how low the viewership is going to be next year when watching on TV. Yes, it's one of these things where it's like, when you're looking at TV numbers, and now it's at the stage where they're tanking, and yes, you can get people to you're going to be able to get people to show up to games, but at what cost? At what cost? Like, if it becomes a case where the TV deal is done after 3 years, which I think it will be anyway. Especially, by the way, if it turns out that thing, booms, this Team USA thing booms, as far as TNT are concerned, it's going to be very, very clear. It is Caitlin Clark or nothing. Like, Caitlin Clark is the needle. It's Caitlin Clark or nothing. At the end of the day, they could lose that. And if it turns out that, yes, you're getting all these sellout arenas and everything, but the profit margins are very low, it becomes very tough to operate long term. And you can do all of that, and with the WNBA growing, and still keep things as they are. But with the WNBA going, if it doesn't exist anymore, the people that want to watch Unrivaled shrinks by the week. So anyway, yeah, that is the video. See you guys.